Hi, I'm Karen Buchanan, and this is my Interview a Scientist project. Today we will be interviewing Jason Buchanan, who was a computer programmer for Disney, and now he is programming software for a vitamin company named USANA. And we will be bringing him to you shortly after this commercial break. Welcome.
Thank you, Connor. It's good to be here with you tonight.
Now tell us, what do you do exactly?
Well, I'm a software engineer. My degree is in computer science. I program hardware and software. One of the things I do is program games for the DS, also the PlayStation 3, and other things like Xbox 360 and things like that. As well as writing software for a vitamin company, which I currently work for as well. So.
Okay. Now, what exactly did you have to do to receive your job?
Well, generally what my job requires is a 4-year degree in computer science. So it's a bachelor's of computer science is the general job. A lot of people in my career field actually go on to get their master's degree in computer science or even a PhD in computer science. I've worked with several guys that have PhDs. But it's not 100% necessary to go to college. I'm working on my bachelor's right now, but I've been working in this career field for almost 16 years now. And a lot of the stuff I've learned on my own through reading books, using the internet, and things like that.
Okay. Why exactly are you interested in this field of work?
Well, ever since my dad bought me my first Atari 2600, I've always been interested in computers. In, I think it was 5th or 6th grade, I had my first programming class on an Apple II, and we wrote a little program that had a graphic that had a drawbridge that raised and lowered on a castle, and that was always interesting to me. And I've just, been intrigued with computers ever since. The ability to control something so thoroughly just by writing, code, it's almost like spell casting, if you know what I'm talking about. You're writing down words and it's making things happen in the world. It's just pretty exciting, and building games is something that's really cool. Making vitamins is another thing. You wouldn't think about computers when you're thinking about that, but computers drive everything around us, and I really enjoy being inside the machine.
Okay. What exactly is it like in this line of work?
Well, so what's my daily routine like?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in my line of work, I get up. I usually make it into the office between 7:30 and 8. A lot of my coworkers have different schedules. A lot of them like to sleep in and get to work 9:30 or 10, but then they work later in the day. So I like to get up and go in early when there's not a lot of people there because I have a lot less distractions. And I get to work, check my email, make sure that there's no bug reports coming in and that the systems are all operating. And then, I spend my day going through different tasks, building different features. When I was working at Disney, I would work on, building games all day. So I would write some code, and then I would play the game a little bit. Then I would write some code and play the game a little bit. And yeah, so that's what the day consists of. I write some code, I test it to see how it works. Then I may run some other tests against it, and then I may come back and write the code. So it's a constant. What am I trying to say? It's a constant process of evaluation. So you're looking at the software, you're thinking about what it needs to do. You're thinking about how to do that. Then you write some code. Then you test that code. And then you actually see if it actually works the way you thought it would. And I do that till, 5:30, 6:30 at night. And then I come home, and on my drive home, I'm thinking about problems I didn't solve during the day. And then usually when I'm taking my shower at night, I'm thinking about problems I didn't solve during the day. It's all about problem solving. That's what computer programming is.
Interesting. What exactly do you find challenging about your job?
There's lots of things that are challenging about my job. You have to be good at math for one, to be a computer programmer. There's things that you have to learn to program. For example, in video games, 3D things, you have to know physics, how the world works, so that you can predict how a light ray is going to bounce off a suit of armor, and how that's going to look on screen, or how a bullet will track the path a bullet will take before it reaches its target, and how quickly it will get there. Those kind of problems are solved through mathematical equations, and you have to know that kind of thing to actually write the software.
Interesting. Now tell me, how exactly do you use the 5 science skills: observing, inferring, predicting, classifying, and making models in your line of work?
Well, that's a big question to process. The 5 science skills, do you mind if I look at the paper real quick? Let's see, so observing, for example, what we were talking about, I feel like I'm getting a job interview here. Okay, you're a tough interviewer. The 5 science skills. So observing, one, we have to observe what the problem is. We have to look at what the problem is. And afterwards, we have to test what we've written, which is another form of observing. Does it function and operate the way we intended it to? Inferring, so once we've observed something, say a real-world process like a ball dropping, to see how that actually occurs in real life, we have to transfer that into a video game. So we have to make some inferences about, well, how fast does the ball drop? Does it slow down as it hits the ground? Or does it get faster as it hits the ground? And what happens when it hits the ground? Does the ball squash? And what happens once it's squashed? Or does it just bounce, right? So you have to look at those type of things and think about how those things are going to happen. And then you have to make predictions, right? So when you drop the ball on the ground, it's going to bounce. You're going to predict that it's going to bounce. And so when you're building your model in the computer, you want it to react that way. And so you probably are going to have to go out there and look for physical models that some physicist has drawn up or some mathematician has come up with, and look at models that will accomplish that in your computer program. And then once you've kind of figured this out, you have to build models for the objects in your computer program. There's going to be the ball, right? And then that ball's going to have properties like speed and velocity and acceleration and things like that. And then you have to classify the different objects in the game. Say if it was a ball dropping against the floor, there would be a ball, there would be floor, there might be wind resistance, or wind. Those are different objects or different classes that are going to work in your game. So, anyways, that's basically, I think that answers your question. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, it was good sitting with you, and I appreciate you being such an astute listener. I hope I was able to teach you something, and you learned something about the field of computer science.
And that concludes our interview. Have a nice day.